We are in New York City, and one of my favorite restaurants is Junior's. Now, the food at Junior's is fantastic, but most people come to Junior's for the cheesecake, but not me. I come to Junior's for the pickled cabbage. It is absolutely fantastic. So we're going in to eat lunch and have a bowl of pickled cabbage, and when we get home, we're going to make it with you. Let's go eat. This is the famous Junior's pickled cabbage. Now, sometimes at Junior's, when you get this, it will just be a bowl of cabbage with the vinegar dressing. Other times, like today, it will have red peppers, green peppers, and onions in it, which is really how I prefer it. But either way, it is delicious. So, we're going to finish our meal, and then when we get home, we're going to make our very own pickled cabbage. We'll see you when we get home. Well, the country people are home from New York City. And I will admit that there are times when we're there, even though we've only been there 2 or 3 times, that I feel like Oliver Wendell Douglas from Green Acres.
Oh no, does that make me Lisa?
Yes, honey, you are Eva Gabor.
Sure. I feel a little underdressed at the moment then.
Honestly, Oliver Wendell Douglas always dressed up. He always had on a suit even when he was out working on the farm. So I'm probably more like Mr. Haney. Okay, we are going to make pickled cabbage, and we're going to try to make it like Junior's. Now, I don't have their recipe, of course, but I've tried to research and tried to piece together things that I think might be kind of like theirs. And I'm going to tell you, even though their cheesecake is fabulous, I love their pickled cabbage. You know, with every meal, they serve free beets, pickled cabbage, pickles. They have several things like that they bring, side items they bring to your table with every meal. It's really pretty awesome. Okay, I love Junior's.
You love the food in New York, let's be honest.
I do. I love the food in New York because you can get anything there. You can get any nationality, of food. You can get street food. You can get fancy restaurants, which, we don't do fancy restaurants.
Oh, come on. I'm pretty fancy as Lisa here.
I just love the food. And there's a lot of things we love about New York. We love Broadway. We get the discount tickets at the TKTS booth. But we love going to New York and doing things. There are a few things I don't like about New York too, but we really do love New York. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to use to try to recreate Junior's pickled cabbage. We're going to start, of course, with a 2-pound head of cabbage. This is 2 pounds. I actually weighed it at the store last night when I bought it to make sure. And it's just a hair over 2 pounds. We're going to use 1 small onion. We're going to use 1 green pepper. And we're going to use 1 red pepper, even though it's not the nicest red pepper I've ever seen. When I went shopping last night, they had 3 red peppers. The other 2 were smaller than this one, and one of those was almost rotten. So I took the best one of the 3. And we're going to use 1 carrot. Now you might think with a whole head of cabbage, that's not much carrot. And it's not, because in Junior's pickled cabbage, there's just a speck of carrot here and there in it. So I'm not even sure I'm going to use the whole thing. We'll see once I start stirring it in. We'll see how much of it I need, but I don't think we'll need more than 1 at the most. That's all of our vegetable ingredients. Now, for the dressing, we're going to use 2 cups of water, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and 1 cup of vinegar. I have white vinegar, but I think you could probably use apple cider vinegar as well. I've seen recipes that use apple cider vinegar, but I don't think Junior's uses apple cider vinegar. I'm almost sure they use white vinegar. So that's what we're going to use today. All right, I'm chopping the cabbage. And you don't want it too fine, but you don't want huge chunks either. So and you can do this with a knife. You know, if you want to use a knife, you can certainly do that. But this mandolin makes very short work of it. We really like this little mandolin. Can you put a link to this?
I will.
Okay, so Melissa will put a link at the bottom of the screen if you want to order this mandolin. It chops and dices and shreds and does all kinds of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna take the core out of this because I know a young man who would love to eat that.
Who would that be?
Me.
Oh, honey, you said a young man.
Ha ha.
Oh, that was my Lisa coming out.
Yeah.
Oliver.
You're only as young as you feel.
That's right.
Okay, we're going to cut our onion. I'm just going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to cut that in half before I cut it into thin pieces. That way, you know, we kind of get a quarter of a slice. That way it's kind of a bite size. You don't have a huge piece of onion. And I am slicing them fairly thin just because I don't like huge pieces of raw onion in anything. Okay, so we'll put those in. Now, I was talking about the cabbage core before someone told me I wasn't young.
You just left the door wide open, baby.
Thanks, Lisa Douglas. Don't throw that away. That is edible. You sprinkle a little bit of salt on that. Oh, man, it's good. It's delicious. Don't ever throw that away.
We had a lot of viewers talk about the core before. They really like it.
Yeah, it's delicious. When I was young, we always argued over who got the core. Well, we didn't argue, but everybody tried to get to it first. Everybody wanted it. Okay, so we're going to chop up this onion and the other vegetables. All right, we're going to make our dressing to go on the pickled cabbage. Put our water in. Add our ½ cup of sugar. Our tablespoon of kosher salt. And then 1 cup of vinegar. Now, let me tell you that I did kind of have an idea about where to start with this recipe because I'll just tell you, the last time we were in New York, we ate at Junior's 3 times. We did meet friends there that we had met on a cruise and ate once, but Melissa and I went back and ate a couple more times. And so I was telling our server, who was a gentleman probably older than me, that I really enjoyed the pickled cabbage. Let me get this fire started. And he said, oh, it's so simple to do. I said, really? And he said, oh, yeah. It's just the vegetables, the cabbage, the onion, the carrot, the peppers. And then we just make a simple vinegar sugar dressing to go over it. And he said, we make it every single day, and it sits in the refrigerator overnight, and we serve it the next day. And I said, so it only has to pickle for 24 hours. And he said, well, yeah, it's better the longer it sits. He said, really, when I make it at home, I like it after it's sit for about 3 days. But he said, all you have to do is leave it for about 24 hours. So he said, we make it every single day here. Well, that helped me, even though I didn't know all the ingredients and I wasn't sure, how to put it together. At least I had a starting point just from what he told me, and I did appreciate him sharing that much with me. So I kind of knew what was in it. Now, in the research I've done for this, I have noticed that some people put in lots of spices. They put in a bay leaf or coriander seed, mustard seed, red pepper flakes, all kinds of things. But I promise you, Junior's did not have any of that in it.
Because you picked it apart.
I did pick it apart. I tend to do that when we go to restaurants and I find a dish I really like. I kind of dissect it and try to figure out what's in it and how I can recreate it. And I promise you that Junior's did not have any of those spices in it. And according to what our server told me, it's just a very simple vinegar, sugar, water sauce that goes over it. Now we want to let this barely come to a boil. We just want it to heat through, want that sugar to dissolve before we put it on our vegetables. But before we can do that, we have to get those vegetables stirred together and packed in our jars. Now you might be saying, what do you mean pack it in jars? Well, you've got to store it in something. It needs to be stored. You know what, I can't do it with that. This is easier. And what I would think is the easiest way to store it is just to store it in canning jars. And of course, once you get it all packed in your jars, you're going to want to, and get the brine on it, you're going to want to keep it in the refrigerator, because we are not canning this. This can be canned. I know that's weird to say. This can be canned. You can pack this in jars, put the brine on it, put it in a water bath canner. There's a huge piece, so I'm just going to break that up. You can put it in a water bath canner for 15 minutes. Take it out of the water bath canner after 15 minutes. Let the top seal, the lid seal on it. And then it's shelf stable. You don't even have to refrigerate it. But I'm not doing that today because we're going to eat this. And this will stay good in your refrigerator for, it should stay good for months and months and months. But I guess I'd better say it will stay good for at least a month, if not more. I did see recipes for this on websites that said, they had kept it 3, 4, 5 months in their refrigerator and eaten on it along, and that it was perfectly fine. So I think it will be okay. So we're just going to pack it into our jars, and you do want to pack it tight. You want it down in there. You want to get it down in there and use something to tamp it down in. So I'm going to use this little gadget that you use really to form tarts in miniature tart shells. But I'm just going to use it to push all that down in there and pack it in as tight as we can. And because this is shredded, it's even packing it in tight, there's going to be plenty of space around it for your brine to get in there and get everything pickled. So you don't have to worry about that. It's okay to pack it in, push it down in there. It will be fine. And you do want to leave a little bit of headspace. You want to leave some room at the top. You don't want to pack every inch of it. So we're going to get our jars packed, let our brine come to a boil, and then we will get that brine in the jars. Our jars are packed and our brine is boiling, so I'm turning it off. And I am going to move this brine rather than try to pour it from this pan because I know it will dribble if I do. So I'm going to pour it into a measuring cup that will be maybe a little neater to pour with. So, okay. Now we're going to our jars, and you can see with that amount of cabbage, peppers, onions, carrot, we got 3 quart jars full. And I'm just going to start pouring my brine in. Let it go down in there. Now I'm not sure, since this is the first time I've ever made this, I'm not sure this is enough brine to do all 3 jars. If not, I'll just make some more. Okay. And I can already tell you, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think we're probably going to need some more, but that's okay. This was a trial, and now I know. Now, I'm probably, yeah, there we go. That's all the brine.
Enough for 2.
That makes about enough for 2 jars. And you don't have to have it completely covering the vegetables because that cabbage is going to give off some liquid as it sits, and it will continue to fill that jar with some liquid. But if you want to fill it to the top of the vegetables, that's fine too. Another thing, I mentioned leaving 1 inch of headspace. I should have clarified that that's if you're canning it. Now, if you're just going to do what we're doing and you're going to put the lids on and put it in the refrigerator and use it, you don't have to worry about 1 inch of headspace. But if you are going to water bath can it, you need to leave 1 inch of headspace at the top of your jars. Okay, I'm going to make some more brine and then we'll come back. All right, I've made some more brine, and actually I made half of the recipe that we gave you earlier. So in the description box right below this video where Melissa always puts the typed recipe, we will change the amounts for the brine to include 50% more. Than what we showed you earlier in the video. That way, you know that you'll have enough for the amount of cabbage and vegetables and for 3 quart jars. Now, all we have to do is take our lids and rings and put right on top of those. And I'm not touching that jar because it's boiling. And I'm just going to do them finger tight. I'm not screwing them down really hard, just like I would if I were canning these. I'm just going to do finger tight. There's no reason to go too tight with them. I am going to let them just sit here on the counter until they're totally cooled, which will be hours, but I'm not going to move them. Just going to leave them sit there. And once they're completely cooled, then I'll put them in the refrigerator. Okay, we're not going to sample this today because it's not ready. It needs to sit for at least 24 hours. According to what I was told, it's best after 3 days. So we're going to wait at least until this time tomorrow. We may even wait a couple of days, but we will sample this for you. Our pickled cabbage has been sitting for 3 days. And you don't know how hard it's been for me to stay out of it. Now, here's something that I kind of had expected, but I wasn't sure it would happen. But the jars did seal. When they cooled, they pinged, the top went down, and they sealed. Now, I'm not telling you that because they sealed, they're shelf stable. But these were processed just like I do my canned tomatoes or tomato juice. And because they're acidic, I don't water bath those. And they are shelf stable, and we use them for years. So I'm not telling you that this is shelf stable, but for me, I would be fine with putting this on a shelf. But we're going to open this one. It's been 3 days. We're going to open it and see how it tastes. All right. I smell it. It smells so good. Yum. You're going to wait for dinner, babe?
I will.
Okay. I'll share with you. Oh, there's a big piece of onion. Yum. Listen to this crunch. That is so good. Wow.
Just like Junior's?
Sorry, Junior's. This is every bit as good as Junior's. It's exactly like theirs. Exactly. Man, that's really good. I honestly believe you could put a bowl of that and a bowl of Junior's next to each other and you couldn't tell the difference. That is wonderful. That is so good. And it's good for you. And look how easy it is. I mean, you're just simply cutting up some peppers and onions and shredding a carrot, cutting up some cabbage, putting it all in your jar, making a brine, pouring on it, and sealing it. Put it in the refrigerator. Man, that's delicious. And that goes with anything pretty much. It's really good with hot dogs and hamburgers. Goes great with chicken, with beef, pork. It doesn't matter. It's a great side dish for anything. Wow, that's very good. I've even heard that people drain it and mix in a little mayonnaise and use it that way. So it's got the sweet and the sour. Try it and see what you think. Thank you so much for watching our video. We do appreciate it. Remember that right below this video, there's a description box. It will say pickled cabbage. If you click in that box, it will expand. Melissa always puts the written recipe right there for you. She types it all out, so you'll have it. And then our contact information is under that. Also, there's a place at the bottom where you can leave a comment, and we love hearing from you. So feel free to go down there and leave us a comment. If you've had pickled cabbage before, tell us where you ate it. If you've made it, tell us if you do anything different than what we've done. We'd like to hear from you. And there's also a share button. If you would click that share button, it can be posted to your own social media page so all of your friends and family would know about our video. Also, there's a subscribe button, and if you've not subscribed to our channel, we sure would appreciate you clicking that subscribe button, the little notification bell beside of it, and the word all. And of course, we always appreciate when you click that like button. That just helps build our channel. So please click the like button for us. All right. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Next Tuesday will be our 4th video, I think, in the traveling. No, Melissa?
3rd, isn't it?
I don't know. Next Tuesday, we're going to be back with another Traveling Tuesday video. I'm not going to tell you where we're going to be. You'll have to be here to see. But we'll be back with another one next Tuesday. Of course, we always post on Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you can find those too. Thank you for watching. We do appreciate it. Remember, you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.